Dude, I'm telling you, Holy's a beast right now. I mean, the healing is insane.
I know, right? Those glimmers and awakening procs, dealing damage and healing and...
Nah, fool. Not that Crusader of Holy Shocks, Sedan and shit. Talking about Holy Priest.
Holy moly guacamole! How many action bars do you need for this shit?
Holy shit, Flame, is that all you see, man?
Holy cow! This is unreal. Look at those numbers!
I know, right? And listen, you can do it too, because today we're checking out Holy Priest talents, gear, covenants, rotation, legendaries.
And more, right?
And more, yeah. More like your HPS will be second to none.
You like that one, didn't you? Well, if you want to catch more of Marcelian's awesome jokes, then you can subscribe and enable those notifications, because we do actually do a lot of videos on the channel, other stuff than class guides that you might like, and they will probably not reach your inbox because YouTube. Plus, also, if you do those 2 clicks, it helps us a lot and we will be super grateful. Thank you. Now, talents. If you are using the Harmonious Apparatus Legendary, then on the first row you can find the best option for rating in Enlightenment, which gives a solid increase in your mana regen, allowing the flexibility to choose what you spend your beloved resource on. However, if using Flash Concentration, Trail of Light becomes favored, providing you the ability to heal your last target for a portion of your current cast Flash heal, making this extremely strong and effective. This is also a good option for mythics where mana is not such a concern and you are doing more spot healing. The second row provides your go-to choice for mobility, Angelic Feather. This is going to be picked in almost every situation and type of content, as it allows you to gain a quick movement speed buff whenever needing it, while also being able to place it in different locations on the ground for someone else to pick it up. Next up, if you want to maximize your raid healing output, go with Cosmic Ripple, which is your best option for this type of content. Brings a good chunk of extra healing that fits best in the raid scenarios, unless there's more utility needed, like Sun King's fight, which mostly sees the top priest play Guardian Angel. This could be your first choice if Guardian Spirit is used regularly and at the right time. Other than this, your second option will only be used in Mythics, allowing you to cast Guardian Spirit more often. The extra healing it provides is usually enough to save the target from even getting to the death prevention mechanic. On the fourth row, all 3 options can be viable depending on the needs of your group. As a general rule of thumb, we're going to be picking Shining Force in pretty much all raid fights. It also allows your tanks to be able to kite by you helping them out, which creates more space, and also deal with the Sanguine Affix and Mythic Plus content. Your next best thing, which sees more play in dungeons, is Censure, adding more value to your power word Chastise by providing an extra single target stun if your team needs it. Again, all options have good uses, so just make sure to pick the one that fits your group best. Next up, on the 5th row, the clear winner for overall content is Surge of Light. It has a chance to provide free flash heals for each healing spell used, stacking up to 2 charges. It's great in dungeons when you need more mobility, and also in raids to better pace your mana while also providing more spot healing. The 6th row brings your numero uno option in Benediction for pretty much all types of fights, raids and dungeons, if you want a good passive without any extra buttons. It is a very potent talent that synergizes great with your Holy Word Salvation in raids for additional stacks of mending, offering significant renew refreshes. It heavily relies on you casting Prayer of Mending as often as possible though. Another good Mythics choice would be Divine Star, which can shine in stacked fights. However, it has positional requirements, so keep that in mind if you want to pick this one. It tends to perform better in dungeons due to its very good damage output though. Last row, as mentioned before, brings your best rating option in Holy Word Salvation. This boost of a talent is best used as a response to raid-wide AoE damage. It also has a huge 12-minute cooldown, but worry not, it is lowered quite a lot by the player's ability to use as many holy words as possible, Serenity and Sanctify to be more exact. Each one of these two will lower Salvation's cooldown by 30 seconds, being able to actually get it to about 5 minutes cooldown. Your other option, which is your most have in M+ content, is Apotheosis. Apotheosis, come on man! This is another solid cooldown, helping you out with faster access to your holy words, especially with it instantly resetting the cooldowns for Serenity, Chastise, and Sanctify. Fantastic option for dungeons and also good in very specific raid encounters when there's enough sustained damage to make great use of the full 20 seconds. When talking about stats, we have two general lists that can guide you to greatness. Starting off with rating, you want to go for the following. Intellect will remain king, and your main goal will still be to chase item level as much as possible. After that, Holy's Mastery is an absolute champ. In all raiding encounters, you want to optimize your mana efficiency so that you can counter all damaging phases with proper healing. The extra healing Mastery provides is absolutely tremendous, and you want to max out on it as it smooths out all incoming damage for your group. However, don't just focus on one single stat, as it can start losing value if you get into an imbalanced situation. Crit and Verse are roughly equal in value and bring some good extra healing for no mana cost. Even though it's last, haste shouldn't be ignored, but not made a priority either. Moving on, in dungeons, things change a little bit. In Mythic Plus, since you can drink quite often, you should prioritize the stats that give you raw throughput and help with the damage reduction, allowing you to survive those nasty fights that you normally couldn't. This list focuses on increasing your healing and damage contributions to the party since you want to push keys as fast as possible. So even though Mastery was awesome for raiding, it loses a lot of value here as it doesn't provide any damage boost. For this reason, Haste rises higher in order to help with quick heals on the tank or the party, or even help you deal more damage to the enemies. Moving on to the enchants, you want your weapon to always have Celestial Guidance for that addition of intellect that can proc whenever you're casting something. The chest piece will have either Eternal Bounds or Eternal Stats, your choice here, depending on how well you can manage your mana pool. Also, add a Heavy Desolate Armor kit for extra survivability. Furthermore, put Eternal Intellect on your bracers for self-explanatory reasons, and Fortified Leech on your cloak. The Spectral Flask of Power leads the way as per usual. A good chunk of intellect should never be denied. When deciding upon your mana pots, you have two options, Potion of Spiritual Clarity and Spiritual Mana Potion. You decide which one is best according to the fight. If the encounter can offer you a 10-second window to recharge, then by all means use the Clarity pot. If not, just go with the standard mana potion. Besides these, you want a Potion of Spectral Intellect in your arsenal for even more king stat boost. And to top it off, put an Embalmer's Oil on your weapon to boost your healing even more. Bling bling! Well, as stated on the best stat priority list, for raiding you want to polish your rings with some Tentative Mastery solution added to the Masterful Jewel Cluster Diamonds. If you're more into mythics, then change the products to Tentative Crit and Deadly Jewel Cluster to get more value out of everything. Or if you want to get the best value, then you should still sim your character and see what fits best in your outfit. Next up, the menu of the day brings the house speciality, Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism, followed up by two different options depending on the type of content you're in. Iridescent Ravioli with applesauce for raids to pump up that gorgeous mastery, and Spinefin Souffle and fries for dungeons to get even more crits. Holy Priests are found in a situation where pretty much all covenants are really good, being separated only by small differences and utility depending on your fight. So this makes it really hard for us to recommend something in particular. However, for the sake of the guide, we're going to go a bit more into detail regarding Night Fae, as it's an awesome all-rounder, performing greatly in raids as well as in mythics. The class ability, Fae Guardians, can be cast on your allies or yourself, creating 3 fairies to aid you in battle. They bring different benefits like returning mana, reducing damage taken, and cooldown reduction. In 905, this covenant received some great buffs which double the damage reduction of the Guardian Fairy, making you better at tank healing, which was a weak spot for Holy Priests generally speaking. When talking about mythics, besides all the benefits mentioned before, the Wrathful Fairy ensures that you will never be left out of mana even in the most chaotic situations, and you can use the Benevolent Fairy to give your best DPS 100% cooldown reduction so they can help you kill stuff much easier. Conduits offer a variety of options, but we're going to take into consideration again the very best of them. In Potency Slots, you want to pick Resonant Words for both rating and Mythic Plus content, which increases the value of your next heal or flash heal that follows a Holy Word spell. Another good option would be Holy Oration, which reduces the cooldown of your words even more. Lasting Spirit can become a very solid conduit as well in Mythics to provide much better support to your tank. When deciding on Finesse, Clear Mind would be the top priority if you're dispelling a lot, or even Power onto others for some reduced PI cooldown if you're using it on somebody else, which mostly you will do. Endurance brings Translucent Image as the best choice, making Fade your own personal defensive cooldown. Even more bling bling. When taking Trinkets into consideration, we have some very good options. The best picks you have from raids are Kabbalist Hymnal, which is very easy to use, provides base intellect and procs crit. And it gets even better the more players there are who use this trinket around you. Follow this up with Mana Bound Mirror and you'll shine bright like a diamond. This is super easy to fill up with a big chunk of heal since you're spending a lot of mana, so it provides you a very good burst of single target healing with a decent cooldown. Or maybe you're not raiding that much or simply prefer dungeons. So be it, there's some S-tier trinkets for your beautiful soul as well. Soul Letting Ruby, dropping from Theater of Pain, provides good intellect and fantastic amounts of crit if you don't fall asleep by the time the orb gets to you, this being its only downside. Pair this up with Unbound Changeling from Ingram Malak in Mists of Tyrna Scythe and you're Gucci. Another base intellect trinket with a solid haste proc that provides enough value for you to be noted. A very important mention here is that the secondary stat it provides will change according to the food you're going to be eating, and you will be normally changing this to Mastery or Crit. Not to be ignored, there are also the two PvP trinkets that perform greatly. Sinful Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity, which should be used during the high healing periods, mostly for its great intellect boost, and Sinful Gladiator's Insignia of Alacrity, which gives you high base haste and another good intellect proc. Now, enough with the epics. One of the easiest to use legendaries you can get for raiding is Harmonious Apparatus. As long as you're properly using Circle of Healing and Prayer of Mending, you will gain some great cooldown reduction over the course of the encounter, with even greater mana efficiency along the way. However, the best raiding option, but harder to use, is Flash Concentration, which is also a good dungeon pick. If used properly, by maintaining all flash heal stacks up, it provides the highest healing output. It can be quite challenging to get the most out of it, but when you get the hang of it, your single target healing will become very efficient, more so in high level keys. The priority you want to go for overall is the following: cast Holy Word Serenity, cast Holy Word Sanctify, Prayer of Mending on cooldown, Circle of Healing on cooldown if more than 3 allies are injured, Flash Heal as needed in order to support tanks and critically injured targets until you reach 5 stacks of Flash Concentration. You know, the legendary. Prayer of Healing if the party is at low health and Sanctify is used on cooldown. Use Holy Word Salvation or Divine Hymn, keeping in mind the other healers' cooldowns when heavy damage occurs. Use Heal as a filler when not moving and Renew when on the move and someone is taking sustained damage. When talking damage, for raids you want to simply Smite whenever you can and maybe Dot here and there, but that's about it in order to conserve mana. For Mythics, you can maintain Shadow Word Pain and cast Smite or Holy Nova if more than 4 enemies are present. The theme abilities and the ones you will need to learn how to utilize properly are your Holy Words, more specifically Sanctify and Serenity. The best use for your Holy Word Sanctify will be on melee groups in order to ensure hitting as many players as possible. If you can group up melees in the first 2 groups, for example, your life will be so much easier, as you can see when they are taking damage, and just drop Sanctify underneath them for full value. It takes a bit of time to get used to the mechanics, but it will make a huge difference when you do. During high damage phases, don't be afraid to spam some prayer of healing to help keep everybody alive and also lower your Sanctify's cooldown unless you're using the Flesh Concentration Lego, where you can just keep using low cast times for heal. In between these phases, make sure to balance your mana by using heal, thus lowering the cooldown for your power word Serenity. Holy has some large cooldowns as well, which have a substantial impact on the raid or your party. The Apotheosis talent, which you're going to use in dungeons, complements your Holy Word power greatly. If the tank is taking heavy damage, for example, you can fire up 2 quick Holy Word Serenities on him, or even contribute with more damage on the boss with more uses of Chastise, depending on the situation. Holy Word Salvation and Divine Hymn are the heavy artillery. Don't forget the absolutely huge cooldown of Salvation and the rotation of Holy Words necessary to activate it again. This being said, communicate properly with your team in order to decide which mechanics you should counter with these cooldowns in order to make them totally worth it. Bear in mind that if you will use Salvation at an early stage of the fight, most often you will be able to use it a second time. With a proper Holy Word rotation, it can have a 4 to 6 minute cooldown on average. Symbol of Hope is a fantastic utility cooldown used to mostly refill the healer's mana, when needed of course, this being in the latter stages of the fight, pretty much as it restores percentages of everyone's missing mana, not the total pool. This would be the most important stuff you need to know about when playing Holy. We recommend checking the warcraftpriest.com, also the Discord channel, their guides by Zaf and Shalane, Nifir's Icy Veins guide, and also Warcraft logs in order to always be up to date with the latest information and changes. We'd also like to extend a big thank you to everyone who helped us out from the Holy Priest community, especially Nefir, who we closely communicated with regarding this. If you want to know more about Holy and get deep in the meat of the spec, because there is more to learn about it, make sure you check all of these guys out on the Discord channel. And thank you to our patrons for supporting the video and everything that we do, tier lists and streams and podcasts. We really appreciate it, guys. We cannot be doing this without you, and if you, dear viewer, like what you see and you want to support us a little bit more, check the link down below where you will find the Patreon page and of course all of the links we previously mentioned. Thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.